The first thing, before we get to the money side of things, I just want to say at Thrive Church, we give God the credit for what is happening. Can you guys say we give God the credit? We give God the credit. So in what we're talking about, this is about what God is doing, and we're excited to see that happen. And so as we're doing, we just want to give updates, because if you remember a month ago, we asked for the ExtraGIVE campaign and to help us to be able to move forward with the campus that we're heading towards. And so these cards are in your chair back in front of all you guys. And so if you've already filled one of these out and you put your name on it, you can just check your Facebook. We're good, But if you're here and you haven't filled one of these cards out, I would love for you to pull one out and just look at it as I talk about what we're explaining, so that you can kind of see, and you can kind of see what we're talking about that way in the chair back in front of you. But to kind of give you the picture of where we're at right now, I'm going to use an airplane analogy. How many of you guys like to fly? How many of you guys hate to fly? Right? Usually it's like you either love or you hate it, right? I enjoy flying. I don't do it a whole lot, but I enjoy flying. And so the first part, what I don't like, is you get on the plane. Like, anybody else hate the boarding of the plane thing? Is like, it takes this long all the time, every time. Like, it's like you know where to sit, you know what to do, you know the routine, but it takes like 45 minutes to board the plane, right? And you get boarded, and then they back the plane out, and then the plane like turns and it goes to the runway, and then it sits there, and at that point, the pilot puts the brakes on the plane, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? The brakes are on, and then you hear something happen. What do you hear? That's right. I hear it right now. Do you hear it? I just heard it. Yeah. You hear the engine start. I think it's called spooling up. Is anybody a pilot here? Is that what it's called? Like they start to spool up their engine or something like that. And so that plane's like getting ready, and all that power, the engine's doing its thing. And then you feel the brakes come off, right? The brakes pop, and now you're rolling. You're going down that runway, and it's bumping, and it's rattling. And at some point in my head is like, why is the plane shake this much? It's going to fall apart. But you're bouncing and rattling down the runway, and it's going faster and faster and faster and faster. And you can feel the moment when the front wheel comes off the ground, can't you? And then you feel the moment the back wheels come off. You're like, oh, we are fully committed. We are in the air, right? And so in that analogy, where we're sitting right now, the school has said, tell us when you want to start. It is a green light from the school. They're ready for us to go in, right? They're waiting for us to tell them the start date. We've got the trailer. We've got the soundboard. We've got the tech. We've been investing. We've been using the money you have been giving to get to that point. We're like 95% of the way there with the hard assets that we need. So we're super close. There's really nothing we're waiting for that way. We're looking to add part-time staff, because we're taking what's happening here times 2. And so we need to find more part-time staff that will shoulder that work and that responsibility. We're having conversations with people. We're closing the deal with people as far as who that's going to be. And we're at that point where it's like the engine's spinning, but the brake's still on, because at this point, here's what has to happen. We're asking people to give through ExtraGIVE to fully fund the first year. So we're saying we want to cover the rent for the first year. We want to cover the startup costs for the first year. We want to cover the part-time employee people we've got to pick up for that first year, so that when we start rolling down the runway, we're not beating people up for money at Manchester, saying, hey, you came to our church for the first time. We really need you to put $100 in the offering. We want to come and say, hey, our church has chosen to invest and fully fund year 1, all the expenses. It would be about $200,000 is the full cost to be able to get another campus up in the air. Year 2, we're funding 50%. So at that point, that front wheel's kind of off the ground, you know what I mean? We're starting to get there, but the plane's not quite in flight yet. And then year 3, we'll have a campus at Kiwanis Lake. We have a campus at Manchester. And the 2 campuses together are funding the budget that's needed. And so year 1, 100%, we need to get that plane rolling on that runway. Year 2, 50%, the nose is in the air. Year 3, we're flying in that way. And so when we talk about ExtraGIVE, we're coming to the church and saying, hey, we're close. We're within $15,000 cash in hand and another $60,000 pledged over 2 years. And so you're able to give now immediate and say, hey, I just want to put money into ExtraGIVE to help us get to that point where we can take the brakes off and start rolling down the runway. The 2-year pledge is you saying, hey, I want to be a part of this story, and I'll give faithfully for year 1 and year 2. And this card is just saying, here's how much you can count me in. Because we're willing to go in faith, because we believe our church is going with us. You guys have our back, and you're faithful to give and to commit in that way. So we talked money. Let's talk politics. Let's make everybody angry here, right? I know a lot of people, well, maybe not a lot, that's an exaggeration. I know there are people, how many of you know people, they say, I don't vote because my vote doesn't Oh, so you've heard it too? There's people like, it doesn't matter what I think, right? In this situation, it matters what you guys think. And the way to say we're on board is by choosing to commit and say, hey, we're on board. And BJ, on the back, on this chart, you want to talk to him about the chart and like how every person matters?
Yeah, so on the chart on that card, it represents what it would look like if you gave, say, $5 a week rather than a lump sum. So if you're anything like me and my family, we budget, and it's a pretty tight budget as it goes, and so we don't have thousands of dollars sitting aside to say, okay, here you go. But what we can do is say, hey, we're going to set aside maybe $10 or $20 additional per week to give to this, and over the course of a year, that adds up. Over the course of 2 years, that adds up significantly. So the chart that's on this really is just a way of encouraging you to say, even a $5 donation per week, which seems like very little, over the course of 2 years is over $500. And that amount of money can make a significant impact in what we're doing, in the mission that we have here at Thrive. Now, I want you to put money aside for just a second and think about this in terms of investment. This is not an investment in a corporation. This is not an investment like you would make normal investments. This is investment in the lives of people. We're campusing not to make Thrive Church awesome, although it is. We are campusing so that we can reach people with the gospel of Jesus Christ and change their lives with who Jesus is. That's what we're about. And so this money is just a tool that God gives us to invest, and we're asking you to invest some of the money that God has given you into the lives of other people to help them know who Jesus is and how he can change their life. And so that's what we're asking. We're just asking you to give some of your financial resources. If this card is confusing to you or you have questions, come see us. We'd love to talk to you, about what this is and what it's about and why we're so excited about campusing in Manchester.
Absolutely. The plane's on the runway. The engines are spinning. The brake's on right now because we want to launch September 8th is the dream. But we also know we have studied it. We've done our numbers. We've looked at the planning. We've talked to the finance team, with our oversight, with our strategic leadership team. We think this is what wisdom says. This is what we need to move forward. And so we're just coming to church to update you, to let you know where we're at, to let you know what green lights we have, and to say, hey, we're at a point, like if you're sitting here and you're like, I'm excited and I'm willing to be a part of a story, that's what we're asking you is like, let us know what part you want to play, how you're committing to give, and then we can let the brakes off and start rolling. September 8th is our dream launch date. That's our dream launch date, but we need you to help communicate, hey, we're a part of this. Let's go together.